Hello friends, welcome to Bookshelf. Today we're going to talk about The Art of Manipulation by Nick Anderson. Have you ever wondered why people think the way they do? Or why does someone make the same mistake again and again, even when they know they're wrong? And most importantly, why is it sometimes so easy to convince us? And sometimes, why doesn't someone agree even after our best efforts? The answer to all these questions lies in understanding human psychology. The human mind is a mystery. The human mind is a machine that works continuously. Everything we see, hear, and feel is recorded in our brains. But the interesting thing is that our brains don't always operate on logic, but often rely on emotions, feelings, and biases. Imagine if someone suddenly gave you a gift, you'd feel positively for that person. Now, if that same person asked for help, would you immediately say no? Probably not. This is the game of the human mind. We make most decisions emotionally and later justify them with logic. We all think we are very smart and can make our own decisions. But the truth is, our brains operate on certain shortcuts. These are called cognitive biases. Confirmation bias. We seek out things that prove our beliefs right. For example, if you believe that lemon water helps with weight loss, you'll only read articles that confirm it. Social proof. Following the crowd. If XO people are buying from a shop, you'll also assume the shop will be good. The halo effect. If a person looks good, we assume they'll be good, even if we don't know their true personality. All these biases influence our daily decisions. Now, you might be wondering, is every decision I make wrong? No, it's not. But it's important to understand that humans don't think XO% logically. And those who understand this can easily influence others. Emotional triggers, things that affect the heart. People make decisions not just with their minds, but also with their hearts. There are certain triggers that instantly change our thinking and behavior. Fear. If you scare someone with the fear that if they miss an opportunity, they'll make a quick decision. Greed. Buy now and get 50% off. The moment we hear this line, we jump at the offer. Love and belonging. When someone shows us respect or shows us affection, we tend to agree. Short stock is limited, we hear, and we feel compelled to buy it now or the opportunity will be lost. The next time you go shopping, examine yourself. Did you really consider the quality of the product, or did you just buy it after seeing the discount? Most people think they make decisions with careful thought and planning. But the truth is, our brain works in two ways. One is the fast brain system. It makes quick decisions and operates on emotions, like suddenly scolding someone in a fit of anger. Two is the slow brain system. It thinks deeply and applies logic, like reading thoroughly before signing a business deal. The problem is that we rely on system A most of the time. And because of this, we can be easily influenced. Imagine if you understood that the person in front of you was thinking through system A, i.e., emotions. Wouldn't you be able to easily influence their thinking? This is the true power of psychology. Every human being has some need, and that need becomes their motivation. The famous scientist Maslow created a pyramid that explains human needs. Basic needs are food, water, and safety. First, a person wants to fulfill their basic needs. 2. Belonging, friendship, love, relationships. Then, they want to feel a sense of belonging. 3. Respect and recognition. After that, they want to be valued. 4. Self-actualization, self-proving. Finally, they want to live their full potential. Now, just imagine how easily you can influence someone if you know their level of need. Suppose your friend says, I want to change jobs. If you want to know why they want to change, understand their motivation. They may want a higher salary. Their basic need could be that they aren't getting respect at work. Or they may want to pursue their passion. Self-catalysis. If you capture the right motivation, you'll be able to give them the right advice and influence their thinking. Now think about why. When a leader gives a speech to the public, people trust him because he understands their needs and motivations and speaks in that language. It's said that knowledge is power. But real power comes when you understand people's minds. You recognize when a person is emotionally vulnerable, when they're thinking logically, when they only want affection, and when they might be tempted by greed. This understanding is useful in your relationships, business, and personal life. Now, stop and think. If you understand all this well, you'll not only understand people better. If you enjoyed our free summary, you can subscribe to our channel, purchase our membership, or support us through UPI. Now, let's return to the summary. But you'll also be able to guide them in the right direction. And this is the true magic of understanding human psychology. This entire story teaches us a great lesson. Don't try to change a person. Understand them first. Only when you understand the basis of another person's thoughts and decisions will you be able to influence them effectively. Have you ever noticed that when some people speak, the other person is instantly drawn in by their words? Whether they're a friend, a teacher, a leader, or a salesperson, their words impact both the heart and the mind. And the interesting thing is that these people aren't using magic. They simply master an art, the power of language and persuasion. This is persuasion and the power of language. Humans have always used language not just for communication, but to influence others. When a child cries and asks for milk, that too is persuasion. When a friend says to you, "Friend, you're my true friend. Come on, let's go out together today," that too is a play on language. The only difference is that some do it unconsciously, while others do it deliberately. Now imagine how easily you can persuade people if you master the art of knowing when and how to use which words. You don't necessarily have to deceive them. But persuasion means convincing the other person to see things from your perspective. Demonstrate it. And when they start to understand what you're saying, they'll automatically agree. The greatest power in language is framing. For example, suppose you tell someone, "This task is very difficult, but you'll learn if you try." Then, on the other hand, you say, "This task is easy. You just need to work a little." The truth is the same in both sentences, but the framing is different. The first sentence might scare the other person, while the second might motivate them. This same sal has a significant impact in the world of persuasion. You may have noticed salespeople saying, "This is a today-only offer." The word "today" creates a sense of urgency. It's a subtle linguistic trick that forces us to take immediate action. These words create a sense of urgency in our minds, realizing that if we don't seize the opportunity now, it will slip away. Now, let's take another example. Suppose you want to tell someone that you should do this job. The other person might refuse. But if you say, "I think you can do this job well," what difference does it make? Instead of giving direct orders, you reassured the other person that they were capable, and that people prefer to do what they value. Language isn't just a play on words. It also includes tone and intonation. If you adapt to the other person's manner of speaking, body language, and expressions, they feel like you're speaking their language. This is called rapport. And when a rapport is formed, persuasion becomes easier. Have you ever noticed some people telling a short story before starting their speech? For example, "I tried this when I was in your place, and it worked." Such stories give the other person a chance to relate. And when a person relates, your words reach directly to their heart. Another selling technique is the use of specific words like free, guaranteed, exclusive, or limited. These words immediately grab attention. Our brains get a unique excitement from such words, which is why they're repeated repeatedly in advertisements. Now, you might be wondering what the difference is between persuasion and manipulation. The difference is quite simple. In manipulation, you deceive someone for your own benefit. But in persuasion, you present the truth to the other person in such a way that they accept it. This means that persuasion also involves honesty. Otherwise, its impact fades in the long run. You may have noticed that when good leaders speak, their words have power. They don't just provide information, they demonstrate a vision. When someone says, "We can do this," the listener's confidence increases. But if someone says, "Maybe we can," the impact diminishes. Small words can shift the entire energy. The power of language is also very useful in relationships. Suppose you and your friend have a fight. If you say, "You're always wrong," the argument will escalate. But if you say, "I think our thinking doesn't match this time," the conversation will calm down. This is the power of words. Say the same thing in a different way, and the outcome will change completely. Another tool that helps in persuasion is asking questions. When you give direct orders, the other person resists. But if you ask questions, "What do you think? It would be good if we tried this." This makes the other person feel that their opinion is also important, and people are more likely to do things that give them ownership. Now, consider this. This game of language plays out not just in personal relationships or sales, but also in our everyday lives. Whether you're convincing a teacher in an exam, explaining an idea to a boss in the office, or inviting a friend out. Persuasion and language play a role everywhere. Sometimes persuasion even comes from silence. Yes, it may sound strange, but when you pause for a moment, your words seem more profound. For example, if you say, "I'm sure," pause. You can do this. This pause adds weight to your words. Now, imagine if you master these techniques, you can make a huge difference with your communication, in your career, business, and relationships, everywhere. You can inspire, motivate, and earn their trust. But remember, the true power of persuasion only works when it's accompanied by sincerity. You can convince someone once with just words, but you can only convince them repeatedly if your intentions are clear. Otherwise, language begins to feel hollow. Ultimately, I would say that language and persuasion aren't magic. They're an art. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. The difference between small words, the right tone at the right time, and understanding the other person's feelings, these are the things that will set you apart from the crowd. So the next time you talk to someone, don't just think about delivering a message. Think about how to deliver it, because it's the subtle shifts in communication that make the difference. And these subtle shifts can compel the other person to take action. Now, the question for you is, will you consciously try using these techniques in your next conversation? If so, believe me, you'll feel the difference yourself. This is the true power of persuasion and language. Imagine you're talking to a friend, and suddenly they go silent. You ask them what's wrong, and they say nothing. This is where the real game begins. If you have emotional intelligence, you'll understand that their facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language are saying something else. But if you don't have this skill, you'll assume it's really nothing. This is the difference between a person with emotional intelligence and a person with only information. Humans live not just with their minds, but also with their hearts, and often the heart dominates our decisions. Emotional intelligence means recognizing, understanding, and controlling the emotions of others. It's not a formula from a book, but a life skill that applies to every relationship, every task, and every interaction. Have you ever noticed that when certain people enter a room, the atmosphere changes? If they're happy, everyone smiles. If they're upset, everyone becomes silent. This is the impact of their emotions. Now, imagine if you master the art of knowing when and how to manage your emotions, and when to read the other person's emotions, you can turn every situation to your advantage. Imagine if you could sense when the other person is angry, sad, or weak. Couldn't you influence their thoughts and decisions? This is the true power of emotional intelligence. The first step in emotional intelligence is self-awareness. You should know when your emotions change. For example, why do you feel scared during an exam, or why do you get angry in a meeting? When you begin to understand yourself, you become adept at recognizing the emotions of others. Next comes self-regulation. Suppose someone says something to you in anger. If your emotional intelligence is weak, you'll immediately retort. But if you're emotionally intelligent, you'll pause, take a deep breath, and then speak thoughtfully. This control is what sets you apart. Another important component is empathy, seeing things from the other person's perspective. If your friend says, "I had a bad day today," you won't simply say, "Good luck," and move on. You'll ask, "Why? What happened?" and try to understand their feelings. Empathy means putting yourself in their shoes for a moment. This empathy connects people and becomes a powerful weapon in manipulation and influence. Now, imagine if you make someone feel that you truly understand their feelings, won't they agree with you more easily? This is why good leaders are always empathetic. Another aspect of emotional intelligence is social awareness. It means reading the situation. For example, if a group is laughing and playing, it's inappropriate to broach a serious topic. If someone is in tears, it's pointless to joke. Social awareness teaches you what to say, when, and where. And finally, relationship management. Emotional intelligence isn't just about understanding or reading others. It's about improving relationships. When you take people's feelings into consideration, they begin to respect you. This is why emotionally intelligent people have more friends, a stronger network, and people consider them trustworthy. Now, let's illustrate this with a short story. Suppose a new project has arrived at the office. The boss announces that the team will have to work around the clock. There will be two types of people. One who will immediately become irritated and complain, the other who will motivate the team. Yes, there's a lot of work. But if we all work together, it will get done more easily. Now, tell me, which person will the team trust more? Obviously, it's the one who manages emotions and boosts the morale of others. This is the power of emotional intelligence. Imagine if you become that person everywhere who calms the atmosphere and boosts people's morale. Won't people automatically consider you a leader? Emotional intelligence isn't just about reading others. It's also about maintaining a steady self. For example, imagine you're going to a business deal and the other person deliberately provokes you so that you get angry and ruin the deal. But if you control your emotions and respond calmly, you'll win. This is smartness, being the master of your emotions. Now, from a practical perspective, emotional intelligence is useful everywhere in everyday life. Whether talking to your parents at home, joking with friends, in an office meeting, or speaking in front of a crowd, you need to observe how the other person is feeling and adjust your words accordingly. The next time you talk to someone, don't just listen to their words. Try to read their eyes, their face, and their body language. Believe me, you'll discover things they haven't even said. Another secret of emotional intelligence is patience. Often, people react quickly and later regret it. But if you pause and think, your response will be more sensible. This patience saves both your relationships and your reputation. Ultimately, emotional intelligence isn't just about influencing others, but also about becoming a better person. When you understand and value others' feelings, you become not just a good manipulator or influencer, but also a good person. And this is what makes you successful in life in the long run. So, the challenge for you is to start today and try to listen not just to words, but to emotions as well. Don't just control your anger, but also feel the other person's joys and sorrows. Because when you reach someone's heart, their minds automatically accept what you say. This is the true power of emotional intelligence. Imagine if someone repeatedly tells you, "I'm with you, you can trust me," and then gradually helps you, respects you, and always does what you need. Wouldn't you start to trust them? The human heart is like that. When someone shows us affection and repeatedly behaves in a trustworthy manner, we stop doubting their intentions. This is the art of building trust. But the real game begins when someone uses that trust for their own benefit. This is what building trust is all about, then exploiting it. Trust is the strongest bond in human relationships. Without trust, neither friendship, nor relationship, nor business, nor society can survive. But it's also true that trust is both a shield and a weapon. When you trust someone, you overlook their mistakes, don't question their words, and assume their intentions are pure. And if the other person understands this psychology, they can gradually control your decisions. Now, just imagine if someone has been friends with you for months, helping you, and supporting you through every difficult time. What if one day they ask you, "Friend, lend me some money?" Would you be able to refuse? Probably not. This is the true game of trust exploitation. The first way to build trust is to demonstrate sincerity. People trust those they perceive as genuine. Even if the other person isn't completely truthful, if they create the illusion of sincerity through their words and actions, people assume they are genuinely good. This is why master manipulators always use a soft tone, a smile, and sensible words. The second way is reliability, or appearing trustworthy. If a person repeatedly fulfills their promises and shows consistency even in small matters, people gradually begin to consider them dependable. Whether they are truly trustworthy or just putting on a facade, people begin to trust them. The third way is to demonstrate goodwill. If someone helps you without any reason, you assume they're good. For example, if a colleague at work always helps you with your projects, you might think they genuinely want your best. But their motive might be to make you feel indebted so that you can't refuse when they need it. Think about how many times someone has done you a small favor and you've automatically thought, "Now I should return the favor." This is human psychology, and this is how exploitation happens. Once trust is built, a person's nerves are lowered. That is, they lose their guard, and this is where exploitation begins. The other person might say, "You know me. I would never think ill of you." After this line, the person stops questioning and accepts without thinking. Now, consider a story. There was a shopkeeper in a city who treated every customer with great respect. He spoke with a smile and never cheated. People considered him so trustworthy that they would buy goods from his shop without bargaining. But one day, he slowly started reducing the quality of the products. People did not doubt initially because their trust was already strong, and by the time they came to know the truth, it had already benefited a lot. This is trust exploitation. The question is, does trust always prove correct? The answer is no. Trust can be right or wrong. The only difference is who made it and for what purpose. Manipulators often use mirroring techniques. That means copying the habits and thinking of the other person. If you feel that someone thinks like you, laughs like you, talks like you, then you quickly feel connected. And once a connection is made, trust begins to develop. Another way is to show vulnerability. When a person reveals his weaknesses to you, you feel that it is true. He is showing his true face, and you start trusting him more. But sometimes it is just a facade, so that you think that when he has told me his truth, he will never betray me. Have you ever noticed how quickly people become closer by sharing secrets? In fact, it is the fastest technique to build trust. After building trust, the next step is exploitation. Asking for favors slowly. First small requests and then big ones. Like first say, friend, give me the notes. Then he will say, stop the class and come with me. And finally, he will say, help me in the exam. And because you have already done small favors, it becomes difficult to stop yourself from doing big favors. Now if we look at politics, leaders make good promises to build trust among the public. Let's distribute help. Provide support to the poor. People assume that this leader is truthful. But after winning the elections, the same leader takes advantage of the public trust and starts taking decisions for his own benefit. This game goes on everywhere. Family, business, friendship, and politics. Imagine, have you ever trusted someone so much that later you wished you had not trusted someone so much? If yes, then you have definitely been a victim of trust exploitation. But remember that trust is not just for exploitation. It can also be used in a positive way. If a leader wins the trust of the people and really takes decisions for their welfare, then that trust takes the society forward. The only difference is the intention. Ultimately, what needs to be understood is that trust is a powerful tool. It is difficult to make it, but once it is made, it can change a person's entire thinking. And if someone uses it with the right intention, it will make relationships stronger. But if used with bad intentions, it will become the most dangerous form of exploitation. So the next time someone treats you very nice, if he showed you his sincerity again and again and helps you in every small and big way, then do not trust him blindly. Wonder what his real motive is. Because trust is what will either strengthen your relationship or make you weak. Now the question for you is, how will you recognize whether the person in front of you is really trustworthy or just creating a scene? If you acquire this skill, then you can avoid exploitation and use trust properly. This is the real power of trust. If you look carefully in any relationship or conversation, the biggest game is to handle people and situations. In life, we go through many such situations every day where we have to manage the person in front of us and change the environment as per our wish. Imagine if you are ever in the office and the boss suddenly gives you a new project, then you not only have to manage the work, but also manage the team. Or take any situation at home. What do you do if you want to calm down the anger of a family member? You twist the situation in such a way that the other person agrees. This is the real art of managing people and situations. Now the interesting thing here is that every person thinks that he is very smart and no one can influence him easily. But the reality is that most people are very easily influenced by their emotions and environment. When you control the environment, people start reacting as you want. For example, if you are in a meeting and you express your views with full confidence, then others will feel that you are saying the right thing, even if his own opinion may be slightly different. There's a very interesting hook here. People always think that they are taking decisions themselves. But in reality, many times their decision is already influenced by the environment created by you. That is, you silently create a path in their mind, and they follow the same path without understanding. Doesn't this sound like fun? Now just imagine how cleverly marketers use this art. When a brand writes a limited time offer and forces you to buy, they are actually creating such an atmosphere that you feel that if you don't buy it now, you will miss the opportunity. This way, a simple product suddenly seems essential. This is the power to change the situation as per your wish. But all this is not limited to just marketing. People use this trick in personal relationships also. For example, suppose you need help from a friend, but you cannot speak directly. Then first you make him realize how trustworthy he is to you, and then you express your views at the right time. The other person helps thinking that he has taken the decision on his own. But the truth is that you had prepared the entire atmosphere in that direction. Have you ever noticed that during an argument, some people remain very calm and some get angry? In fact, the one who remains calm controls the entire situation. Because when angry, a person commits mistakes and becomes a toy in the hands of the other person. This is the biggest secret here. If you can control your emotions, then you can easily control the emotions of the other person. Another interesting hook is that people are always more influenced by atmosphere than by logic. Suppose you want to convince someone that your opinion is correct. If you only give logic, then maybe the other person will argue. But if you create such an environment where after listening to your opinion he feels that this is the easiest and right option, then he will agree. That means the power of the environment hash. Now let's move a little further. Suppose you are part of a large team and a project deadline is approaching. At this point, if you just scare the team, maybe the work will get done but the atmosphere will become tense. But if you make them feel that meeting the deadline is a team victory and everyone is important, then people themselves will work harder. That means you not only handle the situation but also inspired people accordingly. Just think, when a leader gives an enthusiastic speech to the people and people get inspired by his words and start taking immediate action, then it is not just a game of words. This is the art of creating a complete atmosphere. That leader knows when to raise his voice, when to keep it low, when to pause and when to applaud. All this creates an emotional wave in the mind of the listener, and this wave pushes them in the direction that the leader wants. Let's put another hook here. Have you ever felt that something suddenly changed inside you after watching a movie? Like after watching an inspiring movie, you thought that I will also start working hard from tomorrow. This is the atmosphere of the movie which manages your mind. People do the same thing in real life too, just in a slightly subtle way. Now comes the matter of control of information. Many times, the person who distributes information as per his own becomes the master of the situation. Suppose you are in an office project and you know all the information, but you slowly share it with the rest of the team. This makes everyone feel that you are the guide, and it is important to obey you. This is controlling the situation with information. But remember that this art is not just a game of tricks. Real mastery is when you use it in a positive way, like calming a stressful environment or saving someone from a wrong decision. When you turn the situation in the right direction, the other person feels your leadership and feels safe with you. The biggest advantage of managing people and situations is that you never become a slave to the circumstances, rather you bend the circumstances according to you. Only that person moves forward in life who does not flow in the waves of circumstances, but uses them like a boat and moves towards the destination. So the next time you are in a conversation, meeting or relationship, just stop for a moment and think, am I controlling this situation or are the circumstances controlling me? If you can answer this question correctly, then believe me, you will become a real master of every game. So friends, this was our today's book summary. How did you like it? Do tell us by commenting, and thank you for listening till the end.